Greetings to you, members of St. Francis Xavier Parish and anyone else who happens to be looking in on this. Well, it's spring, but of course it's spring in western Montana, which is not quite like spring in every other place. Father John Guile and I were presiding and preaching during the Triduum up at the Mission Church and Sacred Heart in Arlee. And Sunday morning he came into the living room of the rectory and looked out the window and said, "Well, Merry Christmas," because we had an inch of snow. So spring in Montana, not like spring everywhere else. The most important thing about spring, it seems to me, is the fact that it is literally the bursting forth of new life. And I think we experience that as directly and joyously here in western Montana as maybe any place else in the world. Here's a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke called The Threshold of Spring. Harshness gone, all at once caring spreads over the naked gray of the meadows. Tiny rivulets sing in different voices, a softness as if from everywhere is touching the earth. Paths appear across the land and beckon. Surprised, once again you sense its coming in the empty tree. It's a beautiful poem about the experience of early spring. The trees, many of them have buds, but they're still, from our point of view, empty. But we definitely sense the coming of that new and green life. And then his wonderful opening line, all at once caring spreads over the naked gray of the meadows. I think the line strikes me so strongly because spring is the time of Easter. And if Easter is about anything, it's about new life, the offer of new life, which we're free to receive or not. Here's a quote from Gerard Manley Hopkins, the Jesuit poet. He says, "Nothing is so beautiful as spring when weeds in wheels shoot long and lovely and lush. Thrushes' eggs look little low heavens, and thrush through the echoing timber does so rinse and ring the ear, it strikes like lightning to hear him sing." That's another thing about western Montana. The birds come back, some to be permanent through the summer and others just passing through to higher elevations. But to hear them in their song of arrival is really a beautiful thing, something to lift our spirits. Finally, of course, we remember that one of the names for Jesus is the day star, or sometimes the day spring, that coming of new life, that offer of life that we can receive and then share with other people. There's a couple of lines from Hopkins' poem, The Wreck of the Deutschland, speaking about Jesus. He says, "Let him Easter in us, be a day spring to the dimness of us, be a crimson cresseted east." Wonderful, wonderful lines. Crimson cresseted, that wonderful red and orange and yellow color that we see in the dawn sometimes. A day spring to the dimness in us. Let him lighten up the gray parts of our hearts and our spirits. And then this wonderful use of the word Easter, to use it as a verb. Remember, it's a nautical term. To Easter means to sail toward the light. And that's what we're all invited to do every day of our lives as Christians, but nowhere more than in this season of the spring. So, my friends, as we enter deeply into this Eastertide season, let us pray that Jesus will Easter in us, guide us toward the light, and that we will share whatever light we have with others. Blessings on you all.